No, 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 no. Wait, wait, wait. Wait, 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 wait.
Well, shit. Here we go again. This is A Silent Voice. A Silent Voice is such a distinct anime when compared to others. That is because it strips away the quote-unquote known anime aura, which is primarily seen as fantasy, tits, and ninjas. But seriously, tits and ninjas aside, A Silent Voice hits on an entirely different level than other anime, and that is because, well, it's perfect. I say this knowing that there is no such thing as perfect, and that's where the next closest thing comes in, and that's just reality. A Silent Voice portrays different perspectives in such a manner that it manages to draw out the most relatable emotions that we ourselves are constantly confronting in our day-to-day lives. Ranging from the deep sense of isolation we experience due to standing out from the general crowd, often resulting in endless self-torment thinking that it's always us at fault, to the remorseful yet empowering feeling that we get from picking on others, especially as a kid not knowing how it will affect us as we mature. We are quickly introduced to Shoya Ishida, one of the protagonists who is initially portrayed as the bully. At the beginning of the movie, we see Shoya planning out his suicide. Now I know what you're thinking, already this movie is hitting harder than my dad. Well, just wait. After a few minutes, we are given a flashback to show us what led Shoya to come to this decision. This is where the story begins. Shoya is considered the class clown, the one who performs his feats in order to satisfy and gain the attention of his classmates, which he promptly shows us when the other protagonist, Shoko Nishimiya, is introduced to the class. Shoko immediately stands out due to a disability, in this case unfortunately being deaf. At one point in class, Shoko is asked to read aloud. Needless to say, it was hard for her to form words. Shoya takes this as an opportunity when it's his turn to read, imitating the sounds Shoko had made. As like most kids, Shoya has difficulty knowing how he should act around someone who is deaf, in which case he takes advantage and continues to bully her, not knowing the consequences he would later face. At this point in the story, most of us can already envision ourselves being in a familiar situation, especially growing up, either being the bully, the casual bystander, or the one who stands out and becomes the target. But no matter how harshly Shoko is treated, she always seems to respond in an apologetic manner. This is because Shoko believes that she causes other people trouble due to her being deaf. This only irritates Shoya, to which he eventually yanks out Shoko's hearing aids in the middle of class, causing her ears to bleed. That just sounds painful. And yet, even with this, Shoko still attempts to be friends with Shoya. Now we fast forward a few years, and after people finally started to realize Shoya for the dick he was, he went from being the bully to getting bullied. I guess this is just life's way of Uno reverse. This is where he decided his fate after years of self-torment. This is another situation that causes A Silent Voice to ultimately stand out from other anime. Nowadays, with people becoming more and more isolated and detached from society, suicide and depression are more relevant than ever, unfortunately. Before sealing his fate, Shoya decides he has to do one last thing, which is to return Shoko her old translation book and apologize. When he goes to find her, she is initially startled and runs off, to which he manages to catch up to her and express his apology. After Shoya's mom found out about his plan, she managed to express herself in a way which caused Shoya to have second thoughts. He then decides to go see Shoko again, but is stopped by Shoko's younger sister, who doesn't want anyone to potentially hurt her older sister. This is where he is starting to go down a different path, a path of self-remission and acceptance of who's around him. This deeply resonates with many of us, in which we begin to find a way to deal with our own regrets in life. I know personally I've done some shit I regret, but the best thing you can do is to learn how to deal with it, and that's exactly what Shoya decides to do, which I'm sure we can all agree is a better option than committing suicide. But like most things, this doesn't just happen overnight. And by the way, we are just getting started, so go ahead and fasten your strap on and enjoy the ride. That's what she said. Remember when I mentioned Shoya is going down a path of not only accepting himself, but also the people around him? This is because he's already so used to how he's been treated for his past doings, and if he can't accept himself, then why would he let other people in? This is shown to us by giving us the perspective of Shoya, in which everyone around him has X's covering their face. This begins to change when he finally lets someone in after years, and that someone is Tomohiro Nagatsuka, who he had initially helped out whenever he was being bullied. After having hung out for a period of time, Shoya finally realizes that he can trust this guy, to which his X peels off. This is a great example of what goes on in modern society for many of us. A lot of people have difficulty letting others in due to being in a similar situation to either Shoya or Shoko, in which case you ultimately have trouble with self-acceptance and don't think others will accept you either. This is now Shoya's second attempt to go and see Shoko, but this time he brings his new friend Tomohiro as well. Once again, Shoko's younger sister tries to stop Shoya, but then Tomohiro steps in to literally remove this blockage. Shoya and Shoko begin to hang out more and more after this, but while Shoya believes things are going good as far as understanding and communication goes, it's an entirely different story for Shoko. This is shown to us when Shoko attempts to verbally tell Shoya, "I love you," but Shoya of course misunderstands, thinking that she is talking about the moon for whatever reason. This leads to Shoko being extremely upset, once again beating herself up because she can't do something as simple as to say, "I love you." In today's society, communication is as important as ever, but on a deeper level, so is being able to understand each other. And because Shoko gets upset at this misunderstanding, it's showing us that she still isn't able to accept herself. At the same time this is happening, Shoya is allowing more and more people to come into his life. While everything seems to be going fine with Shoya hanging out with more and more people, it eventually crumbles as the past is brought up. Now allow me to introduce the bitch of the story real quick. Naoko Yamada, I hope I'm not butchering that, is a former classmate of Shoya back whenever he first bullied Shoko. She lumps herself into this new friend group but really only wishes for Shoya to get back together with his old friends whenever he was still the bully. Like, really dude? But as I was saying, the past is brought up due to this bitch. This causes mixed emotions throughout this new friend group, resulting in an argument and everyone splitting up like Scooby-Doo. And of course, because she feels like she caused everything due to her disability, Shoko is more upset with herself than ever before. And oh look, what perfect timing, Shoko's grandmother passed away. Great job, Gram. So after things seem to be getting better for everyone, shit just hits the fan. Shoko then invites Shoya to an upcoming festival because, you know, let's try to lighten the mood a little bit, right? Right? Nah bruh, I'm gonna pull Isekai real quick and see what happens. No, but seriously, all of this guilt and self-torment has overwhelmed Shoko and she simply can't stand it. This is extremely unfortunate in today's society. People simply become overwhelmed and lack the means or effort to try and communicate or understand those around them. And, well, here's what happens next. Alright, well that's gonna be the end of this video. If you liked, go ahead and subscribe. NANI?! After attempting to take her own life by jumping off a balcony, Shoya has better timing than Gram and barely manages to grab Shoko right as she falls, resulting in him falling instead and being injured. This is where the bitch comes back. As Shoya is recovering in the hospital, Naoko blames Shoko for everything that has happened, which in a way kinda makes sense, but is still completely uncalled for nonetheless. After such a life-threatening event has conspired, everyone begins to reflect on their own words and actions. Shoya eventually comes back to school and is greeted by everyone. After some heartwarming words have been said, Shoya finds himself finally feeling a sense of purpose and acceptance to both himself and others, which we can see as everyone's face becomes revealed. I'm not crying, you are. In conclusion, a silent voice allows for just about anyone in a society to relate on a real level, with real emotions and realistic situations. This movie hits in a really down-to-earth manner at times, and that's part of what allows us to enjoy it. Being able to see ourselves in these similar situations or feeling such relatable emotions can cause a familiar feeling of understanding within ourselves. Furthermore, this movie allows for us to experience these emotions from different perspectives, something that I believe gives us more insight on how people around us may feel at times, allowing for us to better understand them. In other words, A Silent Voice is such a great movie due to its many different perspectives and relatability. Well, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed, as it was my first video on this channel. If you liked it and want to see more content like it, then feel free to subscribe. Peace out.